So I decided to stream my practice tonight because why not? I do yoga anyway, so why not make it available to you at home? So if you happen to be watching, or if you're watching this later, once this is recorded and posted, grab a mat. It's all you're going to need. No special props, really just your own body. Um, I think, obviously with a lot of stuck at home and doing a lot of sitting. Probably a lot of people sitting around on couches, kind of maybe forgotten how to move our own bodies without the aid of, public classes and somebody kind of yelling at us to tell us what to do. Um, but you have everything that you need, right? You have everything that you need to exercise and be healthy and stay sane, even if you're self quarantining, even if you're, following everybody's recommendations for all this social distancing. So, um, within you, you have all of the ability to stay healthy and happy and sane throughout this, right? So you have a body, you can move it. You don't need props, you don't need weights, you don't need a gym, you don't need cable machines or barbells or anything like that. You have your own body, and there's plenty that you can do with it to stay plenty healthy. And you have a few other tools. You have your breath, right? You have the ability to breathe, and breathing can have a pretty profound influence over how you feel, right? Um, and you have your own thoughts. So you have the ability to think and influence how you feel based on mental exercises and meditation and sort of cognitive tricks that you can do, where if you don't like the way that you feel in one moment, you can always influence that and change it in the next moment. Um, anyway, so I think one of the simplest things that you can do to practice and use those tools, especially if you're feeling anxious or feeling nervous about sort of the state of the world at this point in time, or really at any time, whether it's this crisis or it's just the general um, sort of way that things are a bit fucked up in the entire world right now. Whether that's getting you down, or school is getting you down, or work is getting you down, or a relationship is getting you down, you can put these tools to use, and maybe they'll have a positive influence and change the way that you feel for the better. So let's move and get some blood flowing, and hopefully break up the habit of sitting around and sitting on desks, and get our freaking eyes off of our phones for just a moment. Although I recognize the irony of that, because you might be watching this on a phone. But you get the idea, right? Put the news down for 2 seconds, step back, let's do a little breathing, let's do a little moving, and let's use our bodies a little bit. All right. So I'm going to start practicing. I hope that you will join me. Get up, stand up. So the if we sit all day, spend all day sitting around and doing those kinds of things. I mean, the simplest thing that you can do is just do something different, right? Your body, there's no perfect position. There's no one, perfect posture that if you just maintain this perfect posture all day long, you're going to be super healthy. So the simplest thing that you can do for yourself is just change up your positioning throughout the day, right? So if you're sitting like this all day, or sitting on a couch, sitting back, get up. Every 30 minutes, just get up and kind of shake out your legs. So do that with me. If you're standing up, just shake out your legs a little bit. Shake out your arms a little bit. Just do something a little bit different than what you've done throughout the day and throughout the last week. Just shake it out a little bit, right? So I do this in the morning. Just shake out my limbs a little bit. And then I like to rotate from side to side. So I like to keep my head pointing straight forward. Some people like to, as they swing their limbs around, turn their head with their arms. This makes me dizzy, so I keep my head pointing straight forward and then just let your arms kind of swing around from side to side. So you should feel some nice rotation through your through your spine. Cool. And bring it back to neutral. Good. And then pretty simple, just that was rotation. So we got 6 directions basically that we can move. So we can rotate from one side and then we can rotate to the other side. Just a moment here. I just want to make sure I'm not having technical difficulties. Ah, okay. Cool. All right, let's get back to it. So, um, so if we rotate one side and then we rotate the other way, well, the other directions that we can move are sideways. We don't really move in this plane a lot. We call this the corona plane. So if you're watching me, you can just swing your arms from side to side. That would be an easy way to do this. But what I'd like to do here is actually just move our spine. So your spine, you may not realize how resilient your spine is. Your spine should be able to move in every single direction. It should be able to rotate, and it should be able to bend to the side, and it should be able to fold forward and bend back, and it should be able to do any combination of those things in a healthy way. So all I want you to do is take your left ear and press it down towards your left shoulder. Okay? So your left ear to your left shoulder. And then take your left hand and start to slide it down towards your left knee. If you can keep going past that, that's cool. Whatever. And then you'll notice that your right hip might send off to the side here. Now, keep this position, and then we're just going to reverse everything starting with the head. So now take your right ear to your right shoulder, and then take your right hand, which should be touching your right hip, and then start to slide it down your right leg towards your right knee. Cool? And then we'll just repeat the process. So take your left ear and press it up towards your left shoulder, and then slide your left hand down towards your left knee. And then your right ear to your right shoulder, and then slide your right hand down your right knee. So if you're starting to get this, we're trying to make a snake-like movement, sort of like a slithering movement, but with the spine sideways. Okay, so if you kind of get what that is, then you start to put a little bend in your knees and allow your knees to kind of get into it, and your hips to get into it, so you're swaying from side to side. All right, so right ear down to the right shoulder, right hand slides down the right leg, and then send your hips back, bend your knees, and left ear to the left shoulder, left hand down the left leg, and send your head way over to the side, and then right ear to the right shoulder, right hand down the right leg, and then left to left to left, all the way to the left. Bend the knees, right to right to right to right to right, and then all the way over. So we're just trying to make this slithering sideways sort of motion, and allow every little bit of your spine to bend as you move. Let your knees get into it. Let your ankles get into the movement. So all the way from your head to your toe, you should be moving your body. Cool? So just finish up, make yourself symmetrical on both sides, and then let's come back to neutral. All right. So now we've rotated our bodies from side to side. We've gone sideways. Now we got one more basic direction that we can go, and that's forward and back. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can better see what I'm doing. And all I want you to do is start with your head, tuck your chin into your chest, and then roll your shoulders forward. I know everybody tells you not to roll your shoulders forward because it's like bad or something. And it's not that bad. So it's okay. Roll your shoulders forward, and then take your hands on the fronts of your thighs and just start to slide them down towards your knees. And imagine that you're the hunchback of Notre Dame. So you want to kind of press out through the back of your heart space, And then start to round through your whole back and then your low back and slide those hands down. Keep tucking your chin down your shins. And then just go as low as you feel is comfortable. I mean, some of you are super flexible, so you'll touch the floor, and that's really not the goal. Kind of doesn't matter. You're at home alone or maybe practicing with somebody who doesn't care if you can touch the floor. So nobody cares if you can touch the floor. Nobody's impressed. What is impressive, though, is self-control and self-awareness, right? So if you force yourself to do something in yoga that hurts, that's not very self-aware. But if you show restraint and you just go as far as your body will let you on any given day, and in any given pose, that is self-restraint, that is self-awareness, and that's a really good thing. Okay, bend your knees, sit your hips back, and sit your butt back like you're sitting down into a chair. And now keep that bend in your knees, like a 90-degree bend in your knees. And now just your head at first, start to look forward a little bit. Okay. Now, from here, again, you're sitting back into a chair. You're just looking forward. Now, draw your shoulder blades back. Okay? Squeeze your shoulder blades back together and draw your elbows back too. Good. Now, start to look up. Okay? Keep looking up. Keep looking up. Now, lift like your heart is, like you have the sunshine in your heart and you're trying to share it with the world or something cheesy like that. And lift it up and then straighten up towards the sky. Okay. Now, we're just going to do all that, but smooth instead of talking about it very much. So you get the idea. We're just trying to make a smooth, sort of snake-like slithering motion, and we're trying to do that all the way into flexion. So it's segmental flexion, right? So every little bit of your spine has a lot of bones, right? And so all those little joints are trying to get some movement into all of them, all right? So start, tuck your chin, roll your shoulders forward. Try to puff out the back of your heart space like you're the hunchback of Notre Dame. And then round your back, slide your fingers down your shins. Stop whenever you feel like you're pushing it at all. Okay, we're not trying to show off our flexibility here. And then sit your butt back down. Once you reach your flexibility threshold, sit your hips down into a chair, draw your shoulder blades back, look up, look forward, look up, look up. Try to arch your back, right? Like it's like a half of a half pipe. I guess that would be a quarter pipe for skateboarders, right? And then look up, lift your heart up towards the sky. Keep your knees bent, lift your heart, push your belly button forward, and then come back to neutral. Okay. Now we're really not going to describe it. We're just going to do it. If you want to watch me do it first, just once, we're just trying to go in and out of this position a few times. So it's a snake sort of movement. So I'll tuck my chin, roll my shoulders forward. I kind of thrust my hips forward this time. So tuck the chin, roll the shoulders forward, round the back, round the neck, round the low back, come down. And then I push my heart and my head forward as far as I can. And then I come back and up. All right. And then I immediately, from this kind of like matrix position, whoa, right? So I'm in this matrix position. And then from here, tuck the chin and immediately start going, like reach with your hands back into the flexion, right? Now, instead of trying to aim down, aim forward, right? So let's pretend that there's a wall in front of you, a wall like, I don't know, 8 inches in front of you. And you want to reach forward with your nose, touch your nose to that wall, and then touch your chin to that wall, and then touch your chest to that wall as you take your head away from the wall, okay? And then touch your belly button to the wall as you take your heart back away from the wall. And then touch your hips to the wall, imagining there's a wall in front of you as you take your heart back and your head back. Cool. Now your knees touch the wall, and keep your knees imaginary, wall, and then touch your nose to the wall, okay? Then chin, then chest, then belly button, then hips, then knees, right? So we're just going in and then reach back when you move back. Inhale when you move back. Exhale when you move forward. We're just trying to do like a snake-like movement. It's almost like I'm swimming. So you should feel that little parts of all of your joints are moving in a way that I bet you $1 million you didn't do today. Okay? All right, come back to neutral after you've finished that last round there. And let's do something that feels a little bit more like a proper yoga sort of class, okay? So if you have a mat, that's cool. You don't really need a mat. But if you have a mat, step to the top of it. And let's do some more formal-ish types of yoga asana. All right. So standing at the top of the mat, let's just take a few breaths and draw our attention towards our bodies. All right. So it might help to close your eyes. So take a moment while your eyes are closed and just reflect for a moment. If you weren't practicing, if you weren't moving before this, or maybe you're just watching this and you're still not actually up out of your chair and actually doing this. Let's do this, right? Regardless, reflect on how you have felt in the last, just the day, just today. Just focus on today. And just see if you can notice, if you would ascribe a few words to your general mood or your general state of energy throughout the day. Just see what those words would be. If it would be maybe stress, maybe anxiety, maybe tired, maybe you felt cooped up. I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe you felt really good. Maybe you felt really peaceful, or you've enjoyed the sort of stillness that all of what's going on right now has brought. Whatever you have felt today is valid. It is your unique sensations on and way to process what's going on. So it's okay. But pay attention to if just moving a little bit. Even just standing up and having the intention to practice some yoga, pay attention to if that makes you feel different. Different good, different bad, doesn't matter. But just notice that a simple thing, getting up, stretching out a little bit, breathing a little bit, moving some of your joints, and even just having the intention, actually just taking an actionable step, that might change the way that you feel. As we continue to practice, as we move our bodies, I would invite you to continue to notice how you feel and continue to notice whether or not doing yoga changes the way that you feel. And if it changes the way you feel in a positive way, then maybe it's something you want to keep doing in the future on a regular basis. Anyway, let's take a breath in and reach your hands up to the sky. And let's exhale and try to touch your toes. And then slide your hands up towards your knees, all the way up to your knees, even if you're super flexible, and draw your shoulder blades back, arch your back. Just hold here for a moment. So just pause in this half lift, Ardha Uttanasana, and just imagine that your lower back is a little bowl for rainwater if it were raining to collect in the small of your back. Okay. Your knees should be bent a little bit. A lot of times traditionally in yoga we straighten our knees completely in this pose, but that can put a lot of strain on the backs of your legs. And there's really no benefit to stretching in a way that causes you any kind of difficulty or intensity. So stretching in a way that feels really intense, there's really not any benefit to that. All right, take a breath in and let's fold forward. Take your hands to the floor, bend your knees, step both feet back, and let's take a plank position here. Good. Spread your fingertips really wide. And I like personally to push the floor away from me. A lot of people will tell you to draw your shoulder blades onto your back here. That never really made a lot of sense to me, but really the point here is just that you find something that feels comfortable to you and sustainable and strong. Good. So give yourself permission here to make any modifications. And I'm going to put my knees down. I'm still rehabbing a shoulder injury from a little bit ago. So I'm going to put my knees down. I would invite you to do the same, even if you don't have any injuries, just to gradually work into a more difficult position, even if you feel super strong and confident today. Bend your arms and lower yourself all the way down to the ground. Now, reach your hands back behind you with your palms facing the floor and your hands near your hips. Now, lift your chest up off of the floor, tuck your chin as much as you can, and then lift your head as high as you can. Remember, what I just said was tuck your chin as much as you can while lifting your head as high as you can. In other words, lift your head without looking forward. Continue to look straight down at the floor. So we're training some of the muscles on the back of your neck. They don't get a lot of attention. They're not very glamorous. They don't make you look sexy like you're on the cover of a magazine, but they do a lot of really important function for your spine, and it's really important to get those neck muscles strong. All right, stay here with your head. Now just hover your arms off of the floor if you haven't been doing that already. So squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift the backs of your hands up towards the sky, continue to tuck your chin, and imagine that your head is just a helium balloon. So if it's floating up towards the sky, it doesn't have to rotate, right? It just has to float up. Keep your chin tucked. Good. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. Breathe through your nose, please, if you can. And try to breathe as slowly as you possibly can. Take another breath. As you exhale, take your hands on the floor like you're about to do a push-up. Tuck your toes if they're not already tucked. And push up and press back towards a downward facing dog type position, but do it with your knees really bent, all right? So you're kind of like, imagine that you're playing that game Leapfrog, like as a kid. So you bend your knees and sit your butt back towards your heels, and then straighten your legs and come forward into a plank, all right? So we're gonna be back and forth between these 2 positions here. So take a breath in here, and then when you exhale, push through your hands to send your hips back towards your feet, and throw your knees out to the sides to make room for your belly. And then press forward as you breathe in into a plank position, and then exhale back into like a leapfrog kind of position. Inhale forward. Exhale back. We're calling this leapfrog, so get used to it. Inhale forward to a plank. Exhale back, leapfrog. One more forward. And back. Okay, as you come forward this time, bring your right leg with you, step it forward for a nice long lunge, and then reach your hands up to the sky. Cool. Let's just pause for a moment. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. Check in with your breathing. Breathe through your nose. Squeeze your left butt cheek. Now, your shoulders, you can create some space in there so you gain a little bit of extra mobility from a way that doesn't require stretching your muscles like spaghetti or that's not a good, spaghetti's not stretchy. I don't know, bubble gum. You don't want to stretch your muscles like bubble gum. That's silly. But if you can make a little extra space in your joints through the power of science and the power of geometry, then that seems like a good thing to me. Yeah, I know we're holding this pose for a long time. It's called power yoga for a reason, right? Now, if you're holding this pose and you want to create some space in your shoulders, try bending your elbows for a moment and see if they smack into one another. If so, you're probably a little internally rotated. Not a big deal, but if you want to accomplish the goal of putting more space into those shoulders, Try to rotate your arms in such a way that if you bend your elbows, your fists point straight back and your elbows point straight forward. That's actually remarkably difficult if you really try to do that. So just really try to do that with 90-degree bend in your elbows. And we're going to hold this for, I don't know, 2 more breaths. Really try to send your fists straight backwards and your elbows straight forwards and up. Okay, 1 more breath in. As you exhale, take those hands to the floor, step that foot back, lower down all the way to the ground. We already did this. Take your hands back by your hips. Lift your head as high as you can while tucking your chin and looking straight down at the floor. Lift your arms up as high as you can. And now let's squeeze the butt and lift those legs up off the floor as well. Hold. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of holding. That's just the kind of yoga I teach. I don't know what to tell you. When we hold poses for a long time, this is an opportunity. I do it for a reason. It's not arbitrary. Well, I found that in my own yoga practice, if I'm moving from pose to pose like as quickly as I can, it actually makes me really anxious. I feel like it's just another day, of like, oh, it's just one thing and one email and then the next email and then another school assignment and then, oh God. I don't want my yoga to feel like that. I want my yoga to be slower and more spacious. So we hold poses for a long time. It's a good way to practice patience, I think. Okay, let's just try to enjoy one last breath here. So breathe in, get a little higher, squeeze your butt a little harder. And let's lower down. Hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, push up, and press back to a downward facing dog with some slightly bent knees this time. Okay, if you want to pedal out your feet gently, that's fine. Just keep in mind, a lot of times when people do this and they stretch the back of their legs and they feel a really intense stretching sensation, sometimes you're not actually stretching your muscles. If you're really flexible and you do this, sometimes you're actually stretching your sciatic nerve, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's fine, but you don't need to do that to your sciatic nerve. Again, just needlessly, intensely stretching, less important than becoming strong, in my opinion. Okay, let's take that left foot forward, step forward, reach the hands up to the sky, and you guessed it, we're going to hold, for a while. Same check-in. Squeeze your right butt cheek. Good. Now, let's talk shoulders. Lift your arms up towards the sky. So you're trying to drop your hips down a little bit, but at the same time you reach your fingers up to the sky. So there's this lengthening effect from your hips to your head. And then to your fingers. Breathe through your nose and see if you can count your breath so it takes 4 seconds to breathe in and 4 seconds to breathe out. Remember that shoulder thing that we did a moment ago? Let's do it again. So rotate your arms in such a way that if you bent your elbows, your hands would go straight behind you and your elbows would be pointing straight forward. Okay, so let's test that. Bend your elbows. If your hands touch, you're internally rotating your arms. And it's not a big deal, but we want to create more space. So try to get your arms, keep bending them. Let's bend them 90 degrees. Send those fists straight back and your elbows straight forward and up. This is remarkably difficult to do if you're really trying. Okay. 2 more breaths through the nose. One more time. Breathe in. On your exhale, take the hands to the floor. Step back, lower all the way down to the ground. Reach your hands back behind you by the hips, lift the legs, squeeze the butt, tuck the chin, lift the head, draw the shoulder blades back, lift your arms. Hold. Okay. Now that you're holding, like Superman, well, I guess Superman would have the arms forward. Well, let's do it like a bird now. Take your hands out to the side. Like if somebody were looking at you from the ceiling down, you would look like a capital letter T. Palms face down. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Lift your head without looking forward. Breathe through your nose. Try to breathe in for 4 seconds and breathe out for 4 seconds as well. We're going to take 2 more breaths. On your exhale, lower down. Do a push-up. Press back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. Exhale through your mouth. Just sigh it out, like not a big dramatic thing, but just like you're fogging a mirror. Or fuck it. If you like big dramatic breaths, do it. You do you. Breathe however you want. But do take a breath in. And a breath out, however you want. One more time. Breathe in. And exhale. Okay, step your right foot forward. Spin your back heel down. Rise up. Let's do some Warrior 2. So, Warrior 2. Here we are. Take a look at your front leg. Now, a lot of people make a big deal about not having your front knee cave in. So just notice this. If your knee is caving inward and you can't see your right heel, it's not the end of the world, but it also might not prove to be the strongest position for you long term. And we want you to be as strong as possible. So if you notice that happening, see what happens if you try to push that knee out. You might notice a few things. One is you might just feel nothing and no change. If so, that's great. Stay there. What most of us mere mortals will notice is that if you try to push the knee out, there's a reason that your knee is caving in, right? So if your knee is in and you try to push it out, you'll probably notice that your hips turn in that direction too. That's perfectly fine. Right? You got to make up for that. You're not gaining mobility somehow magically, right? And yes, I'm trying to distract you from the gaining fatigue in your quadriceps muscle right now by telling you about your own body. So, if you turn your hips out, oh, that's perfectly fine. It just changes where the tension is in the system, right? So if the tension with your knee caving in is on the front of your knee and the inside of your knee, and you push your knee out and your hips turn forward, well, that puts more tension on the front of your left hip. It's fine. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just now the tension is in a different place. So do you like that better? I don't know. Then it might be a good way to do that. The other thing that you can do is if your knee turns in, maybe just turn your front foot in a little bit. There's no rule in anatomy, and I've read a lot of anatomy books and kinesiology books. No rule in the world that says you can't just turn your toes in a Warrior 2. Absolutely no reason you can't do that. Feels really nice for some people. There's also absolutely no rule that says that you have to have your feet in a line. So you could take your foot and step it forward more, or to the side more, or back more, or turn your toes in more, or turn your hips a different way. These are all acceptable answers. Okay? All right. Now that we're here, let's just take 2 breaths. I'll shut the hell up, and you can breathe. Take your arms out and look either over your arm or straight forward, whatever feels comfortable to you. Breathe through your nose. All right, take a breath in, straighten your front leg. As you exhale, let's plant those hands down on the floor, step back, Lower all the way down to the floor. Lift up like we've been doing, kind of like Superman. And we're just going to take 3 breaths. Legs, arms, head, everything's up. Tuck your chin. Squeeze your butt. One more breath. Exhale, lower down. And let's do a push-up. Breathe in. Exhale, press back. Okay, step your left foot forward. Spin your back heel down. Rise up. Warrior 2. Cool. So let's just do a quick check-in with the legs, which we already talked about on the other side, and then we'll talk about the shoulders. So we're taking this opportunity to learn more about our bodies, right? We spend all of our freaking time on our phones learning about the crisis that's going on in the world. And that's nice. It's good to be informed. But you know what else is good? Understanding a little bit about your own body. Because guess what? You're stuck in it for the rest of your life. And you should know how to use it. Like you should have a owner's manual, right? An operating manual to your own body. And that's what this kind of movement practice can give you. Anyway, your front knee. If it caves in, it's fine. Maybe turn your toes in, and maybe that feels better. Maybe that would give you a little bit more strength in that front leg. If you don't like turning your toes in, then you could step your foot, your left foot, inward more, like so that your heel, your front foot heel, is not in line with your back foot at all, but it's lined up way in front of it. That would be fine. You could also just turn your hips more towards your front foot. Okay? So it's just, all it is we're playing with where the tension is. And if your body doesn't like tension on your knee, then you can change where the tension is to a different place that feels better for you. All right, shoulders. Reach them out. This is Warrior 2 after all, right? So, usually palms facing down, and you're looking over the front hand, maybe middle finger. Try this. Don't look over the front arm. Look in line with where your chest is facing. Then turn your palms face up. Right? Why? Not because it's good or bad, but because you spend most of your time with your arms internally rotated. And by turning your palms to face up, you're externally rotated. Simple as that. This is different than what you do with 90% of your time. This is more different. And that's a good thing. Draw your shoulder blades back. Again, not because it's some perfect magic posture, but because you probably don't do this with most of your time. And variation in your movement is a really important concept for your health. Okay? Now, 2 breaths where I shut the hell up and you breathe through your nose as slowly as you can. Okay. Wait for your next breath out. Actually breathe in, straighten your front leg, and then on your exhale, let's take those hands down to the floor, step back, and lower all the way down to your belly. Okay. Reach your arms back behind you. Lift your arms, lift your head, lift your legs, squeeze your butt, tuck your chin. Now, reach your arms straight out to the side. Keep everything lifted up. Keep everything else where it is. Okay, now keep your arms reaching as far as you can out to the sides so you look like a bird. Only one difference though. We're going to change it up a little. So I want you to bend your elbows so that if somebody were looking at you from the ceiling down, now instead of looking like a capital T, you would look like a field goal post. Yeah. So your head is the football and it's going through the field goal posts of your arms. So you want it to go through the field goal post, right? So slowly lift your head up, 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 but tuck your chin as much as you can while you do it. So don't look forward. And hold there. Hold there. 3 more breaths. I know it's a lot of breaths. We've been here a lot already. Breathe through your nose though. use this as an opportunity to just reflect on how you feel when you do something a little difficult. How do you cope with that? Does breathing help you cope with that better? Well, you got one more breath to figure it out. Breathe in. Exhale. Lower down. Excellent work. Push up. Press back. Okay. Step your right foot forward. Spin your back heel down. Rise up and straighten your front leg. All right. So this time, we're going to do some triangle on each side, and we're going to start balancing things out without going to the floor yet. So take your right foot, point it forward, put a little bend in your right knee. Now take your hands, interlace them behind your head, and press your elbows out to the side, right? Lift up through your heart as much as you possibly can. And all we're doing, we're not trying to get our body, our upper body down to our knee. Again, you're at home. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares how flexible you are. What you should care, well, who am I to tell you what you should care about? What I think is important is developing self-awareness. And if this practice can't teach you self-awareness, in my opinion, it's not doing much for you. So be aware that pushing yourself and straining in flexibility, as far as the research is concerned, there's really no benefit to that. So it's not a valuable goal in terms of overall health. So rather than trying to do that, all I want you to do, put a little bend in your right knee, press your elbows out, interlace them behind your head, push your head and your hands into one another, and then just lean over so that you're about halfway down. So the angle between your side and your front leg is about 90-ish degrees. Not that that's some perfect number, but I'm just saying don't go all the way down to your leg, because there's no pot of gold waiting for you down there. The pot of gold rests in the depths of your heart. And you'll get there through the profound practice of breathing patiently. I say that like it's cheesy, but I really do mean that. So let's breathe. Let's try that. 2 breaths. In through the nose. And exhale. Okay, let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale. Be patient. Be patient. Okay. Inhale. Straighten up. All right, let's switch those feet. So left toes point like you're doing a triangle pose on your left side this time. And again, put a little tiny bend in that left knee. And then switch the interlace of your hands, by the way. And then same deal. There's no secret, waiting for you at your toes. You don't need to get there. Just take a breath in here and then exhale. Lean about halfway as far as you think you could go, and rest here. So this is about an isometric strength thing. This is about teaching your muscles to be strong in a slightly lengthened position. So I guess technically you're stretching, but it's not this passive sort of give your body up, surrender sort of thing, right? This is you have the control. You are in the driver's seat sort of situation. And in my opinion, that's much more valuable. 2 more breaths through your nose, as slow as you can. Be patient. Close your eyes if it helps. Wait for your next breath in. When you find it, rise back up. And then turn your toes forward. Okay, keep your hands where they are. And bend your knees a little bit here. Now, I want you to send your hips back so your weight is on your heels. Okay, knees bent a little. Lift your toes up off the mat and push your knees out to the sides. And then send your hips back, weight in your heels, and just lean forward here. Now try to arch your back. So imagine that somebody took a beach ball and placed it on your back, and you just want to wrap your whole back around that beach ball. Cool? Now hinge forward at the hips a little bit. Remember the beach ball though. Wrap your back around the beach ball. Okay. Hinge forward a little bit more. Beach ball. Hinge forward. We're not going all the way to the floor. If you can get to 90 degrees with your spine, stop there. For the rest of us mortals, we're going to stop before that though. Hold here. Squeeze your butt. Squeeze your butt. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Cool. Now we get to practice breathing. Really pay attention. Like I'm shaking because of all the work that we've done already, especially in the back. See if you're having some difficulty. See if just paying attention to your breath can make that difficulty a little lessened. All right, let's do it. 2 breaths. Pay attention to if that helps you or not. Breathe as slowly as you can. Think of the breath like an anchor to your inner peace. Okay, on an inhale, rise up. And relax your hands down by your sides. Good job. Okay, same position here with the feet, but we're going to do things a little different. Walk your toes in just a little bit. So like give yourself, I don't know, like an equilateral or slightly isosceles triangle. And bend your knees and sit down kind of low. You can rest your elbows on your knees and just kind of sway from side to side. Cool. So this isn't quite a crapping in the woods kind of position, but because your feet are really wide, but it's close. So it's functional. Therefore, it's functional. So we would just want to rock these knees from side to side. We're just trying to get used to some different angles. These are some angles that most of your joints, your knees, hips, and ankles don't see on a daily basis. So we want to get them used to moving in all directions, right? Good. Now, we've been resting our elbows on our knees. We're going to keep doing the same thing, except for elbows come off. I know it's going to get a lot harder though, isn't it? Well, that's where the breath comes in. You got to really anchor into that breath. I'm going to stop giving you so much cueing. All we're doing is rocking side to side. Take the elbows off, and let's breathe as we do it. Try to breathe in for 4 and out for 4. Lift your heart, draw your shoulders back. Breathe through your nose peacefully as you can. "30 seconds. Oh my God, that's so many seconds. Is it? I don't know. You have the breath. Does that change that for you? If you just kind of ignore time and really sink into your breath, does it make things a little easier? "10 seconds. You got this. Breathe. Okay, come on up. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's start to wind this puppy down. Sit down. Have a seat. Okay. So if you know this 90-90 position, that's what we're doing. Except for they say 90-90. Like you should actually have your hip and knee joints all at 90. That requires a lot of mobility. So let's dial it back. So find this sort of 90-90 position with your legs, and then just bend your knees a little extra and draw things a little tighter. So it's more like a 90-degree angle in the hips, and like a 45-degree bend in the knees. Okay, now if you feel any strain in the knees, you just keep bending them even more than I've suggested. So this is an alternative to pigeon. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go in and out of this position. So we'll lean forward, so you're hovering your heart over your right shin as though you were in pigeon, except for your back leg isn't in that traditional sort of pigeon position, okay? So you lean forward, squeeze your right butt cheek as hard as you can, and then you start to pick yourself up, and you lift your hips all the way up off the floor, okay? And then you send your hips back and lean forward, and you slowly, with so much control, you lower yourself back down to the floor. Okay. Lean forward. And come on up. Breathe in. Exhale, send your hips back and lower down. Inhale, come on up, squeeze your butt, lift your hips all the way up. Exhale, come on down. 3 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. 1 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Other side. So whichever side you were doing, switch it. Remember 90-90 kind of, except for the knees are more like a 45-degree bend. Just because 90 degrees requires a lot of mobility, and probably most of us don't need that much or aren't prepared for that yet. Okay, same kind of deal. Keep your spine nice and tall. Lean forward. Load up that weight all the way up into that left shin, if your left shin is forward. But that front shin, and press it down into the floor as much as you can, so you feel that front leg really, really firing up, okay? So much so that it could almost lift your hips off the floor. Well, let's let that happen. Lift those hips up, take a breath in, and then exhale, sit them back and down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. 3 more. Inhale up. Slow. Be really slow and intentional here. Breathe through your nose. Inhale up. Exhale down. I think we got 1 more. We're doing 1 more. Inhale up. And exhale down. Cool. Swing those legs out and lay on your back. Okay. The ride isn't quite over yet. We just got 1 more sort of thing to do. So take your legs and set them up like a bridge pose. And tuck your shoulders behind you. Really just to create some space here so that when you lift your hips, you're not putting a lot of strain on your neck. So lift up through your chest. And then let's press those hips up to the sky and just hold there for a second. Good. Okay. This is where the fun begins. Walk your right foot towards the midline a little bit, okay? And then squeeze your right butt cheek as hard as you can so you can lift your left leg up straight to the sky. Yeah. And then lower your hips almost all the way to the ground, but not quite. Keep your left leg pointing straight up to the sky. Squeeze through your right butt cheek. Lift your hips up again all the way to that full bridge height. And then lower them down. We're doing this 5 times. This is number 2. Lift it up. Breathe in. Squeeze your butt cheek. Exhale, lower down. Up. And down. 2 more. Here we go. You got this. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Now stay lifted with your hips. Just place your left foot on the floor. Okay, we're just switching. So go to your normal bridge position and then walk your left foot into the midline a little. Good. Squeeze your left butt cheek. Lift those hips up as high as they can get. Now lift your right leg up towards the sky. All the way up, 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 up. Now lower your hips down almost all the way, but not quite all the way to the floor. And then breathe in as you lift your hips up. Exhale, lower down. Right leg straight up to the sky. Inhale up. Squeeze your left butt cheek. Exhale, lower down. If your hamstrings start to cramp, take a longer step. So step your supporting leg forward. Inhale up. Exhale down. Keep the right leg straight up. Inhale up. All the way down. Let's lower that foot. Lower those hips. Oh, yeah. Take your feet wide. Let your knees knock together. Turn your palms to face up. Okay. So we're just going to let the knees kind of slowly lower over towards the left side here. Both knees over to the left. Hold and breathe slowly through your nose. All right, bring the knees back up to center. Take a breath in. And let's lower the knees over to the right. And just internally ask yourself how you feel right now. And ask yourself if that is different than how you felt previously. I mean, of course it is. But do you like the way that you feel now? Do you prefer this to some of the ways that you may have felt at recent times? If so, you created this new state for yourself entirely on your own. You did all the movement. You did all the breathing. You did this. You have the tools within you. You don't need a fancy gadget or anything. You have it. And that's pretty cool. All right, bring those knees back up to center. And then I'm just going to give those knees a hug into the chest and forehead towards the knees. And give yourself a little squeeze. And just hang here for a few breaths. In most yoga classes, there's a lot of time spent on what people call counter poses. By the way, just take another breath or so here and relax and lay down when you're ready for that. A lot of times people spend a lot of time doing counter poses to the poses that they did. Like if you worked your quadriceps muscles, they spend a lot of time then stretching your quadriceps muscles afterwards. Because there's this feeling that like you have to balance things out somehow for your muscles. There's actually there's no reason to do that. You don't need to do that. If you really feel the urge to, if it would make you feel better to stretch something out a little bit after you exercise, that's fine. You do that. but then it's just really for your mental and emotional gain. Um, and that's perfectly valid. But as far as physiology goes and like safety is concerned, um, people who stretch after they exercise, they do not have reduced injury rates or anything like that. So it's totally unnecessary. I'm trying to give you permission here to not sort of compulsively fidget and stretch things that you feel like you need to stretch now. You've done enough. You've done plenty. If you've done this whole practice with me, you have moved your body enough for today. Plenty. So give yourself permission to just totally relax now. Now is the time that you can let your body just be still and just relax. And just for like 5 minutes, just for about 5 minutes, give yourself the permission to take all of your responsibilities, all of your concerns, all of the things that you're being troubled by in your daily life. Take all of those things and just set them aside just for a few minutes. They're going to be there as soon as you're done, and you can pick them up again and you can get involved with those things again later. They're not going anywhere. Your responsibilities will wait patiently for you, while you patiently give yourself permission to relax. So pay attention to your body and just feel how your body feels when it rests on the floor. Feel the pull of gravity holding you and supporting you. Notice how your breath changes naturally as you transition from exercising and doing things that demand a lot of oxygen to laying on the floor. You don't need to influence your breath at this point. Just kind of step back from everything and just watch your body, watch your breath, watch your thoughts and emotions. Just watch it all like you're watching a movie. So remain completely aware of what you feel and think. Completely aware, but completely uninvolved. And let's rest in silence for just a few minutes. Draw your attention back into your body. Feel your body resting on the floor. Draw your attention to the room that you're in without opening your eyes. Just be aware. You just picture it in your mind. Picture the room that you're in. Pay attention to the sounds around you. Totally aware of these things, but you're still uninvolved, just aware. You can deepen your breath if that feels good to you. And if stretching something out feels good to you, you can take a big yawn. When you're ready, you can begin to transition towards a seated position. Take your time. You might like pausing on your side. You don't have to. Well, if you happen to have, I have no idea if anybody's even watching, but if you are and you happen to have practiced with me live, your future self owes you a debt of gratitude for practicing. Taking the time out of your day to do something intentional for yourself is really important, and it really goes a long way. So I really appreciate you joining me, and I think I'm going to do this on a regular basis. I mean, I practice yoga anyway, so I think I'll just start making a live stream available to people, especially as people are, staying home and might not otherwise have access or the know-how to guide themselves through exercise at home. Thank you.